Hello, everybody, and welcome to another energy focus video here on the Waves of Communication channel. For those of you who are joining me for the first time, welcome, and welcome back to everybody who follows me every week. My name is Marci Melzer, and I'm an intuitive, a speech language pathologist, and a language facilitation coach and consultant. And here on my channel, the wavesofcommunication.com channel, I equip and empower parents. And I do videos a couple times a week. These Wednesday videos are my intuitive videos because I feel like it is true language facilitators are the parents that are the ones that join me and decide to connect with their kids through the advice that I give and all the stuff that I tell you about what's going on in the communication and the process of language development. You're realizing that the source of the language development is you. And so, what I do on my language facilitation energy focus videos is I provide weekly updates about what's going on in the environment, not just the local environment, but also the astrological environment. So we'll talk a little bit about astrology. We'll talk a little bit about the environment and what's going on around us with 3 videos that I'm going to share with you from the Language Facilitation Waves of Communication channel here on YouTube. And I'm going to share one of the language facilitation inspiration cards that I have pulled, especially for this week through my meditation right before this video. And then if you stay tuned till the end and you're still watching while I'm blabbering on about what's going on in the energies and how you can use it, I'm going to pull out my card deck. I've got them right here. So I'll pull out the cards and I'll take some questions or comments from you and we'll see if you can benefit from the energy of the language facilitation inspiration cards. So without further ado, let's get into this week's astrological energy. We have, where is my graphic? I got to get everything squared away. Here it is. We have a new moon in Aries that we're already starting to feel the energy of. It's the first new moon of the astrological year. Aries season is about go, 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 go. And this new moon is typically everybody wants to get going. However, the energies right now are feeling a little crowded. It's a little bit like I was talking to my team yesterday, feeling a little like we're at Coachella. We all want to jam and dance and express our energies, but it could be a very crowded environment full of a lot of different people who are all feeling this energy. So you could feel kind of crowded in your efforts to get going. A lot of people are jumping on whatever you like. You could feel like it's feeling a little crowded because that's what's going on in the sky. With this new moon in Aries, there's lots of planets around it. And while the moon changes a lot of some of these other planets, we talked last week about the Earth sandwich with all these planets that are going on with stuff in the middle. Anyway, with this new moon in Aries, you could be feeling like you want to take action, and that's why the topic of this week's video is informed action, because what we've got going on in the planets is everybody wants to take action, but I think if we take just a little bit of time to look around at all of the options that are potentially influencing us, we're going to make better decisions about the action we take moving forward. So this is a week for you to pay close attention to what is going on around you and use the information to inform how you move forward. That's the whole reason I developed my Waves of Communication channel, is to help you. Now, the 3 videos, let's go into this graphic to share the top 3 videos that I have for you this week on the Waves of Communication channel that are going to help you, to inform you with, again, what's going on around you, to help you do some analysis and help you maybe even see what could be keeping you stuck. If you're feeling like you want to take action, but you're feeling hesitant or you're feeling fears, let's get into these videos. The first one that I have for you, oh my goodness, I didn't even pull up all of my graphics for them, but they are in the description of this video. The first one is a video about facing your fears. And again, I don't have the graphic to show you because this week I'm feeling a little discombobulated. I have a lot of things going on in my own life right now. I'm in the middle of a move. I'm in the middle of planning a vacation. And in my move, I have to do work on my new property that I'm having to juggle professionals and experts and even evaluators to try to figure out what's wrong with it. And I myself am feeling the effects of maybe even overwhelm. Now, overwhelm is one of those things that can block us from taking process and taking process to make progress, to take that informed action that I'm talking about. So the first video that I have is about facing your fears as a language facilitator. And then the second video that I have for you this week, let me just pull up to make sure I've got everything so that I'm bear with me, you guys. And again, if you're feeling this scattered energy, I apologize because normally I have my act together, quite put together for all of this, but for some reason this week I just was behind on the times and I just really want to get this out to you. So let's talk about it. The second video I have, now I remember, is how to add more language facilitation time to your process without extra activities. And it can happen when you're feeling very overwhelmed. And that's why I chose that video. And the graphic is about a mom who is like got her arms full with groceries and kids home. Maybe spring breaks going on or coming up now, and you've got the kiddos back home. You're planning your own vacations. You're planning your own stuff going on, and you've got a lot of things going on, a lot of plates in the air, a lot of stuff on your plate. This video is about how to make sure you can still get everything done that you have to get done and still not neglect your language facilitation time, because we've got to get 2 to 3 hours in every day with language facilitation. And you want to make sure that you're not neglecting that because things come up in your life. Like, you know, me, I don't want to neglect providing you with the information. Now, it may come a little bit, you're not going to be on your best game always when you're doing 1,000 things at the same time, but there are ways to manage it. And remember, we all have times when we've got a lot of stuff going on at the same time. And then there are other times that, you know, when we dig in during these times and we get the stuff done, then afterwards we can relax and enjoy our vacation and enjoy our new move and all those things that I'm looking forward to after the work is done. But for now, staying organized and getting multitasking, showing you how to multitask smart. That's what that video is about. And the last video that I have for you this week that is in my language facilitation on my Waves of Communication channel that is for you is a video about how to find more speech with less prompting, because you're going to be tempted during this time where we're having a lot of energy and we're in this Aries new moon time that you're going to want to take action. You're going to want to do something. You're going to think in your head, what can I do to make this happen faster? You could be tired of waiting. You could be wanting to leave this crazy music festival full of energy and find some isolation time. And how do you initiate that and get that stuff going? This last video that I'm sharing with you, and again, the links are in the description, is about how to find more speech with less prompting. And that way, you will enjoy this time together while you might be feeling very busy and a little bit overwhelmed, and having to juggle and prioritize things is not, is something that happens in every family's life. Certain times of the year and of your life, certain phases that you go through in your life. And right now with all of these planets, literally, I think about it like one of those, those meditation things with all the balls that hang on strings, and you pop the end one and they all just go and go and go, because this one's energy hits this one and 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 this one, and it finally gets to this other one. And in the meantime, or it's like that communication game, telephone, one person says something and it has to go through a lot of filters, a lot of energy before it gets to you. This is a good thing, because by the time it gets to you, you want to make sure you've got your best analysis on, so that you're making sure what you're doing is effective and you're not spinning your wheels and spinning your wheels and spinning your wheels like you might be feeling like you've been doing. What I'm doing and doing and doing and nothing's happening, or I don't have time to do everything I want to be doing. These are the energies that you could be feeling right now. And remember, the late talker is also feeling this. So what we're going to talk about now in this video is I'm going to share with you the language facilitation inspiration card that I pulled out for this, which is so interesting. So I'm meditating about this feeling of overwhelm and the feeling of like one more straw that will break my camel's back. Like I am feeling like I can't get any more done, and I know I have to, because you're feeling the motivation of this Aries new moon that it is time. And it's time to take action. In fact, the energy of these planets is fueling your ability to get all the stuff done that you're getting done right now. So what is so interesting when I meditated about this is these cards have the energy. When I developed them, I put into them the energy of the late talkers who cannot tell us with words what they are feeling during certain situations. And as I found the images, I was like, oh, here's the message behind that. Because with language facilitation, I coach you to dig in to the communication that you see, whether it's behavioral, speech attempts, or somewhere in between. Perfect speech, all of that. Even if it's perfect speech, there could be meaning behind it, right? Because it could be echolalia and they could be singing songs, but they mean something else. And it really sounds like words, but it's not what the words they're saying is meaning. It's what the actions are and the situations around it are intending that communication to mean for you. And so that's why I developed these cards, is because maybe it's hard for us to see that real meaning behind, because we are flavored, distracted by our own mindsets, our own fears, our own worries, our own projections about what we want to happen, our own expectations as facilitators. And sometimes we don't get the perspective of the late talker until you can always get the perspective of the late talker when you tune in and connect with them. But if that connection needs a little guidance, that's where these language facilitation cards come in. And each one of them has a scenario that happens in the lives of late talkers. And let me show you the one that popped up today. You think it's quite interesting. I do anyway. It's this. It says, am I bothering you? So look at these images. With these language facilitation inspiration cards, what I encourage you always to do is pay attention to the images, the words, or topics whenever I use these cards, because remember, the intended message is coming from the late talker who cannot share it because they don't have language for it. And they are interested in sharing this information through their behavior. This is complex, deep information, a whole big stack of these information cards. So when you watch these things and talk about them, listen to your own intuition, which is your higher self or the voice in your head, what I'm teaching you on this video, to activate and look beyond what tips and tricks you see or hear me saying, and think about your own situation, your own connection with the late talker that you know and love, because this is the most important thing about it. Now, look at this. Look at this image. Here is a mom who is clearly frustrated, and here is a boy who is instigating that frustration. Look at, he's got a megaphone, and she's done, right? This mom is like, I can't handle it anymore. And the other image that I get when I think about the energy that I'm talking about on this image, it's kind of like a zit or a pimple, a spot, wherever you call them, wherever you live. it all builds up underneath the skin and it causes irritation and it causes whatever. And what finally relieves it is when that pressure underneath is released and the contents come out, all the gross stuff comes out. And then you deal with it. You have to heal that wound. It heals up afterwards, right? That's kind of what people are feeling right now with all these planetary energies. And your late talker, their current communication, that nonverbal stuff, whatever they're using, the combination of their behaviors and things could be what is triggering irritation, causing you to do intervention, because we have to pop that zit, right? You have to do some intervention to relieve the pressure of what's going on. This mom's clearly feeling pressure, right? So let's look at the back of this card, which has the advice to what's going on. And it is to set your limits, right? So what you do is you realize the pressure, you have to relieve the pressure, but then you have to heal the wound. You have to set your limits. So late talkers play and experiment with sounds and noises over and over as they practice speech. Okay, so they might be saying the same thing over for practice reasons. We talked about self-talk in a video a couple weeks ago, but that's what we're talking about when you're hearing the late talker do repetitive self-talk kinds of things, and they could be annoying in what they're doing, right? Enough to trigger you to intervene with that pimple, with that thing they're irritating, right? They're irritating you on purpose, so you intervene, right? So that's how it looks. They experiment over and over and over. They practice. They use these things, singing the same songs. Maybe they're using them for self-regulation, to balance their feelings. They might be just using it to entertain themselves because they like to see the same thing, or they have a limited idea of what they see as fun, and so they just have a limited thing. It's like when kids have a limited diet and they only eat things that they believe are good for them. It's because they don't trust new things. So what can you do? And this can be annoying when kids repeat and do over and over and over, self-talk, practice, whatever the reason, because there are 3 reasons that kids will do these things. When it happens, it can be super annoying. And then when you're annoyed, when you're feeling annoyed, because that triggered the annoying feeling in you as the facilitator, there's a reason for that. Pay attention when you are feeling annoyed and use the opportunity of the situation. That's what this is all about. So calmly remind the late talker of the real impact that their play has on you, and offer daily opportunities where they can freely be as loud and expressive as they want. I just did an interview. You're going to love this. It's going to come out while I'm on vacation in 2 weeks, with a gal named Hannah Harris, who is an autistic adult, and she also is a coach and consultant for people and schools, and she goes on YouTube, and she herself is autistic, and she herself is self-identifies as having oppositional defiant disorders. She herself says that I was so easily triggered. When people said jump, I sat. When people said come, I went. When people said yes, I said no, even if it was stuff that I knew I liked. But because she had that mindset going, she was in this state of resistance, and she did on purpose things to annoy people so that they would understand her level of discomfort, because underneath all of that is coming from anxiety and people not understanding where they're coming from and what that stuff means. And one of the tips that her family used, because she was adopted in a family full of more than 5 or 6 kids with severe disabilities, and some of them are even nonverbal. One brother is even nonverbal in his teens and 20s, I think. So she's been herself struggling with spoken language, and her siblings have also struggled with spoken language, and they've all used a variety of communication behaviors that were probably annoying to one another because they were all different for their reasons. They weren't even related family members. All these kids were adopted. So what's amazing about when you're in a community of people where there is annoying stuff going on, we're talking about that with the energy of the environment. All of these planets, you're not at Coachella, you're at an IEP meeting, you're in the park, you're at spring break, you're trying to go on vacation, you're trying to integrate your kid into a classroom, you're in some kind of community where there's stuff going on that's bothering you. And one of the things that Hannah said that was super helpful, and you're just going to love this interview when it comes out, because she's got amazing suggestions such as, what does it matter? And maybe it is you that needs to detach yourself from the situation if you can't handle it right now, because it is your responsibility as the language facilitator to be the one who is going to connect with the late talker and figure out how to work that through. All right, so we've talked about the astrology. We've talked about we've talked about, oh boy, we've talked about how crazy energy is so that you could be actually distracted and off your track, and why informed action is the name of the game right now. And let's get some information if you are interested to join me right now. The first thing I want to do is welcome people. I know people pop in and off of these videos. The intuitive woo-woo sort of part of the waves of communication. It's not the tips and tricks that people are looking for what to do to make my kid talk. That's not what this is about. This is about connecting with your kiddos and figuring out why things are happening or why they're not happening, instead of making them happen or not happen, and facilitating the outcomes that you want. Ultimately, not just the things that you expect will happen when you predict when I do this, I expect my child to do that. This is about equipping and empowering the kids. So if you're new to the channel and you like all of this, go ahead and give this video a like. Now, I am going to pull out my cards since I see that there's a couple people on, and I'm going to pull some out for general energies, this energy of overwhelm. Obviously, some people out there might be feeling triggered by the late talker's communication. And if you're joining me live and you're interested in commenting and sharing a scenario or a situation about your own situation, comment below, put your name in there just in case it doesn't come through so that we can pull a card for you. But let's get one for the general energy, especially those of you who are watching on the replay, about overwhelm. And if you're feeling like your plate's very full, what kind of advice might come from late talkers who, remember, are also feeling these things, also feeling potential overwhelm? Let's see. I like this one. Connect me with animals. This is a really easy way to help the late talkers in your life ground down to easy things to do. Now, if you don't have animals, you can go to zoos and things like that, but look at the imagery first when you have these things. And then what you're going to do is you're going to flip the card over and check out what's going on in the back. And it says animal communication, right? I'm going to do this if you want to screenshot it, but let me read it for you. Animal communication says natural nonverbal connection with animals helps late talkers learn how to intuitively understand the needs of others that we care for. So remember, the whole point of language facilitation is to look beyond the behaviors that you see, which all behaviors are communication. When you look beyond those behaviors, you are going to identify the real communication. Now, this is what we do with animals. How do you know your dog is hungry? He's hanging around by the food bowl. Or he's panting if he's thirsty. How do you know your dog wants to play? He comes and brings you the ball, right? Late talkers are the same when they communicate. In fact, I just shared a video on my Facebook about fish who are learning to communicate how they want to use. They were learning to drive drone vehicles to access food sources. So animals are able to connect and communicate, and so that's what they're going to do. So your job in the process is to help the late talker interpret the animal's needs by watching and describing their behavior. And you're going to tell the stories of the animal's life while you show them how to properly care for and respect pets and wildlife. And so what you're going to do is you're just going to hang on a second. There's maintenance in my apartment and I am doing a live video right now. So I'm just letting the maintenance people know. Like I said, there's lots of people in your world, everybody, who are going to be interrupting what's going on. Talk about energy alignment of everything that's going on. I live in an apartment complex of more than 200 apartments, and it had to be while I was doing this particular video that they showed up at my apartment to do an inspection. Can you believe it? How the universe works, just to let you know. And you don't have to worry about it. I didn't stop the video. The maintenance people will come back. I'm sure they'll get everything that they need. So I think I better get off this video. I'm not seeing any more people joining me live, so I'm just going to go ahead and remind you right now to join me tomorrow on the Waves of Communication channel for live Q&A. Every Thursday, you can join me right here, wherever you're watching, on Facebook or YouTube, and at 11 a.m. Eastern time, you can post questions about your language facilitation journey. And I dig into a topic. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking a little bit about this oppositional defiance things, kind of getting you ready for the interviews that are coming up in our future. While I'm going to be on vacation, again, not leaving you hanging, consistently providing you with information on the Waves of Communication channel to help you, to equip you, to empower you, to connect with the late talkers in your life and facilitate the spoken language that they need. Thanks so much for joining me, everybody, today, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye for now.